On today's Primetime Local News,
Nice of you folks to come.
the Imhof collection is back on public display in St. Walburg. And we look ahead to this weekend's CKSA action in Onion Lake. Plus, what does Bobcats GM and head coach Nigel Dubé have to say about the upcoming season?
Primetime Local News, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Here in Lloydminster, most residents are familiar with the artwork of Berthold Imhof, as his works have been on display at the Old Lloyd Cultural and Science Centre for years. Well, now the artist's work are back on display to the public at the artist's farm site near St. Walburg.
Nice of you folks to come. And the first thing you're going to see is the artist right here. And he's the fellow that did all the painting.
Berthold Imhof's 79-year-old grandson Bert walks us through the newly reopening Imhof Studio. This farm site where the German-born artist lived and worked was first built in the 1920s and was named a provincial historic site in 2005. Now, after being closed for close to 2 years because of the pandemic, they're preparing to reopen.
I said, let's open this up again. So we took a bunch of paintings down that were in here, put them in storage, and took a bunch of other paintings that were come from Lloyd and that were different than here. It used to be that it was all religious paintings in here before, not anymore.
After decades of being on loan to the city of Lloydminster, over 250 paintings are back with the family, including the earliest collection painted in 1888. Hundreds of paintings are still in storage and will be cycled into the studio to keep things fresh.
We can take these paintings down in no time at all and have them out of here and bring other ones in. And that's why we did this, because I would like to, if I live long enough, I would like to alternate some of them.
The Imhof collection features many religious and historic paintings, including portraits of Indigenous chiefs.
When people come in here and they walk in here, a lot of them don't know what they're going to see and they just can't get over it.
The Imhof Studio is located 3 kilometers south of St. Walburg along Highway 3. It opens on Canada Day and will be open daily from 10 until 5 p.m. until September 5th. And Bert Imhof is excited to welcome visitors.
Well, we've had people come from here. We've had people drive here from Calgary for a day. We've had people from Edmonton, Saskatoon, Bonnyville, St. Paul, all the surrounding area. It's they'll just come. They bring people here and come to see the paintings.
For the first time in Lloydminster, the Filipino community held their Pinoy Fiesta event at Bud Miller Park last Saturday. Throughout the day, people could go and explore Filipino culture, although some residents weren't exactly aware of the event. Well, our Shelby Clark spoke with one of the organizers on the strong support they did see and how they'll promote it for next year.
Joining us today for Primetime Local News is Jonah Alejandro with Pinoy Fiesta. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today, Jonah.
Thank you so much, Shelby, for having me. I really appreciate your time to be able to give a little bit of info about our Pinoy Fiesta. So we're 3 co-organizers here in Pinoy Fiesta. I'm with Dosa Antonio and Aurora Lefebvre. So together we have come up with something that is a unique representation of our Filipino culture, and that is the Pinoy Fiesta.
Of course, I'm really happy we're able to speak with one of the organizers of this fiesta because, you know, this was a first time here in Lloydminster at Bud Miller Park. So with having this fiesta here for all the residents to come and enjoy, did you see lots of strong support for this on Saturday?
So for a first timer event organizer, and we're just like having fun, and people were just coming in and out of the Bud Miller, and like we're just very amazed of the support that we have received from the community, our fellow Filipino Canadians here in Lloydminster, the small and big businesses, and of course, like the agencies came as a community partner, so they were there to be able to experience this kind of events. our fiesta is like a part and parcel of the Filipino culture. So it is also a celebration of a unique and diverse culture of each of the provinces of the Philippines. So showing them how are we as a Filipino back home are also like a one way of bringing people together, not only the Filipino Canadians here in Lloydminster, but as a whole community as well in Lloydminster. So Fiesta builds a stronger relationship. It gives us the opportunity to connect with other cultures, not only us as Filipinos, because we also invited some from India or other friends from Pakistan. So I think this kind of celebration not only brought a strong relationship within our community as a Filipino community, but also as a whole community of people living in Lloydminster and in surrounding areas.
Well, that's really great to hear that you saw that for this first time. Of course, we had a lot of residents that came and they were excited to experience your culture and the foods. Even I was able to show up for a little bit on Saturday and check it out. There was lots of nice clothing. It was just a beautiful event. So I'm really glad that you did see that strong support. Residents here really know how to show that. So I'm glad you got to experience it. Now, this happened on Saturday from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. There was some people that didn't hear about this, unfortunately, beforehand, so they couldn't come check this out. But are you hoping to have this annually here now in Bud Miller Park so people can know about this for next year?
Oh, we're thinking of having next year. So as early as right now, we're talking about it of how are we wanted to do the second year. So maybe we're expecting a lot more people at the next year's event, because some people whom were not able to attend at this time were able to check in with us and give interest to be able to join next year. Like actually small groups of people have actually informed us of their interest on joining this event. Like some provinces were not able to join this year's event. We will be able to inform them right away, like ahead of time, so they might be able to of course prepare as early as at this time. Yeah.
Oh, that's really great to hear how many reached out to you now, just kind of being prepared for next year, and how strong that support was for you guys for having this Pinoy Fiesta. So how did it feel to see how good of a response you got from everyone, from some people that weren't able to hear about it, but for everybody that was able to kind of show up and show that support and be able to buy all these clothes, try the foods and everything? How did it feel as your group saw all that strong support from people here in the border city?
Yeah, it's a nice feeling because like when we started, we don't have anything. Like we started from scratch, we started from zero. So planning the event is a struggle for us. So we just have like plan everything without nothing, like without having a financial assistance of where are we going to get the money to fund the event. But as we go along, especially when Nissan Lloydminster gave us like that big amount for a start, and people are truly helping us to be able to get some of the funding from other agents, other sponsors as well. So Nissan was actually is a big help for us, and we were able to bring that whole group of people together because of like the sponsorship that we were able to get from other companies as well, like small and big companies that help us with this event.
Perfect, Jonna. Well, once again, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really glad we were able to speak and help get the word out about this, just for others out there that can now hear about this for next year's event. I'm excited to see what the Pinoy Fiesta brings for next year.
Yeah, thank you, Shelby. And I hope you could join us again next year for our next big event. And we're expecting more people to come and join us in this year's second celebration for the Pinoy Fiesta.
And now here's a look at today's agriculture prices. As we move to sports now, the CPCA season is well underway, and the next big show on the tour starts tonight in Onion Lake. Our Thomas Wildman has more.
Today we have Greg Buchanan, the host of the CPCA radio network, as well as the CPCA vice president, and he is here today to talk to us about the upcoming Onion Lake show that will be taking place this weekend, as well as some further shows coming up for the CPCA. And so thank you so much for being with us today, Greg.
Thanks for having me, Thomas.
So Greg, let's talk about Onion Lake. It's a little bit different from the previous show in Wainwright and previous shows before this show that is coming up due to the fact that it has 4 barrels. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that and the fact that it's a 5-day show and how that differs from more typical races?
You mentioned you come off the Wainwright Stampede, or is a 3-day show, Friday to Sunday, and you're racing for the aggregate and just 3 wagons on the track at that time. So now we go to Onion Lake, and it gets these drivers ready for bigger shows. It gets these drivers ready for the North American Chuck Wagon Championship, and for others, the Calgary Stampede. It's a bigger track, more room on the track, and on top of that, you have not just one driver, but you have one driver up against 3 other wagons. So there's challenges there, and the more than anything, there's challenges to. You look at 5 days here and then 9 days of the North American Championship, as well as 10 days of the Calgary Stampede. There's a lot of racing going in a short amount of time. And I think if you listen to the CPCA radio network, you're going to hear the term barn management a lot. And if Thomas, if you're a baseball guy, you probably are. And if you're a manager of the Blue Jays and you have a series against the Yankees, a series against the Red Sox, you're managing your bullpen, you're managing your starting rotation. No different than chuck wagon drivers. They're managing their lefties and their righties, but it's the wheel team and the leaders. So you're mapping that out over the next number of weeks. Who's going to race on a given night? So no different than baseball with baseball players and pitchers. You have that in chuck wagon racing with the horses they have hooked on a wagon.
That management, does that lead to any of the CPCA drivers maybe, again, with that management, trying to incentivize certain races like the championship and and the Calgary Stampede over this Onion Lake show? Will we maybe see a bit of a weaker showing from some drivers who are trying to be stronger in those later shows?
Yeah, a little bit of that. I think there's something to be said that they got to make sure that their top horse, their number one outfit, is ready for those bigger shows. But at the same time, there's a lot of money on the line at Onion Lake, and the money means a lot in chuck wagon racing. So who's kidding who? But more than anything, for the first couple of nights, if things aren't going well for a driver, they'll know, okay, I'm not going to be in contention for the championship dash on Sunday. Maybe I'm going to rest a few of my big boys and get them ready for the NACC, get them ready for the Calgary Stampede. But that said, it's such a competitive field right now in the CPCA. You had Preston Faithful win the Wainwright Stampede. You had Danny Ringett win the Dash for cash. And then you have the usual suspects like Logan Gorse, the reigning Canadian champion, the reigning Calgary Stampede champion, top of the point standings. You have a Todd Baptiste, former Canadian champion. So you have a very competitive field, and now you sprinkle in the likes of Danny Ringett, you sprinkle in a former Calgary Stampede champion, Luc Tournier, and then all of a sudden that competitive field from 1 to 7 is now from 1 to 12. And it's anybody's night of winning day money on any night. And you'll see that likely tonight in Onion Lake.
Tonight, Onion Lake gets underway. Kind of who are you expecting? Is there some drivers who have better shots in Onion Lake? Does that home field advantage affect some drivers in the CPCA in comparison to more typical sports like baseball, as we mentioned previously?
Yeah, I think if you're more comfortable with the track, there's some drivers that feel comfortable, not just the track, but the barning area too. So, and it's not the drivers, it's more the horses feel comfortable with the track. I think you have a hometown guy like Kobe Stanley, who is only in his second year in the CPCA, and he's serving notice that he's going to be a contender, not just this season, but for years to come. So Kobe Stanley calls Onion Lake home. He'll be part of some of the pony chuck wagons as well as the rubber tire races. So he's going to be on the track well before the CPCA is with their wagons. So he's a guy that look out for him, that he could have a pretty good run. Preston Faithful will look to add to what he did in Wainwright this week in Onion Lake. And Jamie Labicane is a driver that last year came into Onion Lake, struggled in Onion Lake, and then by the end of that show had things kind of put together what his 2 outfits were going to be. And what he did a week later was win the aggregate title at the North American Chuck Wagon Championship in 2021. So Jamie Labicane is one that you always have to look out for. But when you have a guy that's the reigning Calgary Stampede champion, Logan Gorse, at the top of the pack right now. He's the one everybody's trying to beat.
Thank you so much for all the information, Greg, and we look forward to a very exciting few weeks of Chuck Wagon racing.
Thanks, Thomas.
The Lloydminster Bobcats have had a busy off-season with a new captain set for next season and signing players, of course. Adil Ahmed has more.
I'm very pleased to be joined by the general manager and head coach of the Lloydminster Bobcats Hockey Club, Nigel Dubé. Nigel, really appreciate you taking time out of the day to chat with me.
Thanks for having me.
Certainly. Well, it's been a busy offseason for your club, to say the least here. You guys have made a couple of signings. You guys had some players commit out. But the first thing I do want to talk about with you is just the new captain you guys have going into next season, Ben Bygrove. He's a local boy. He's from Lloydminster. He's been with the club for the past 2 to 3 seasons. Just what did you see out of him throughout the couple of seasons he's been with the club as far as leadership skills to make him ready for this next role?
Yeah, well, I think it's important for him being a local player right from here in Lloydminster, and coming up through the system and looking forward to being a Bobcat one day, and then living out that dream of being a Bobcat. And now he has the opportunity to lead this organization the way he wants it to, and the way he wants the young kids that are growing up in his past shoes to be able to look up to him and to the team and be proud of it and move forward. And I think Ben's a captain that lets his actions do the speaking. He's a man amongst boys in the league. He's known everywhere, and I think just a remarkable human being, and comes from a fantastic family all around. So, we're excited about that, and we're excited about the opportunity for him to lead our organization moving forward.
Certainly. Well, let's talk a little bit about the signings you guys made as of recent. Caden Kirkwood, he's a goaltender. He is from Calgary. Just tell me a little bit about Caden a little bit, and just what did you see out of him? He's getting a chance to compete with Colby Thornton in the crease for next season. Just what did you see out of him throughout his time in Calgary to give him a chance to be competing with Colby going into next season?
We had the opportunity to affiliate Caden throughout the winter, and we were able to get him up here, and he practiced with us and competed in practices, and got to see the community too as well, and our organization behind the scenes. And I think that was a big part of it. And when it comes to Caden and net, he's a really strong goalie, really composed, and he's really mature, and I think that's a big part of it. You have to be mentally tough to be in the blue paint, and especially in our league, when you never know how many shots you get in a night, to be staying in there. So there's a lot of upside to him. We're excited about his future too, moving that to the next level. Our goalie coach Sheldon Gertson's worked with him, and they have a plan put in place to continue to help him excel.
Right on. Well, it is going to be an exciting time for you guys as a club going into next season, because it is 40 years as a franchise for you guys. Just tell me a little bit about the expectations you guys have set for each other going into next season as training camp kind of kicks off here in the next couple of months.
Yeah, I think it's exciting. 40 years of junior hockey in Lloydminster, that's a milestone. There's no doubt about that. And we want to highlight the organization from the Bobcats to the Border Blazers to the Lancers, and everything that's made those 40 years, and the people that have made it and got it to here, and including the supporters and the sponsors, that we see every year, whether it be 35 years ago or today. So that's a big part. And, just from a GM standpoint, I think our guys, our veteran players in our core group are ready. There's still a bitter taste in the mouth from the playoffs in March. And I think an excited group to come back, and a group that's, anxious and excited to get going, and knowing what's expected of them from day one is there. And it's just a matter of putting the work in and getting ready to go and be ready to go when the puck drops September.
Right on. Well, it is going to be an exciting time for this hockey club going into next season. Nigel, I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to chat with me about Bobcats hockey. Best of luck on next season and going forward.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
And now it's time to check in once again with Shelby Clark, who has another look at our long weekend weather forecast.
Thank you so much again there, Jace. Yes, taking another extended look at your weekend forecast and looking at temperatures across the provinces here for Alberta and Saskatchewan. We will be starting off with our central zone to kind of see what we are sitting at on the Alberta side here. We are slightly cooled down. We are seeing definitely a lot of different temperatures throughout this week every day that we have been seeing. You know, not a lot of the same ones so far on each side, but we have been ranging from around a little bit cooler compared to that 20-degree mark. Athabasca is looking slightly warmer, just hitting 21. The rest have slightly cooled down. Edmonton and Whitecourt seeing that 16 and 18. 15 down in Red Deer, while Edson and Rocky Mountain House are slightly cooler, going down on the cooler mark there with 13 and 12. And Jasper is the coolest there at 10 degrees. Switching now to our Saskatchewan side, they are seeing slightly warmer temperatures compared to the Alberta side. North Battleford is probably the same as us, like close to that cooler mark with 14 degrees. Cold Lake is just at 15. Prince Albert is seeing 16, and the rest are slightly warmed up from there, seeing between 18 and 19. Now going over to our northern zone to check them out. They aren't looking too bad for their temperatures. Some spots like South End, Wollaston Lake, and Stony Rapids on the Saskatchewan side are slightly cooler. 15 up in Uranium City, while it is 19 in both La Loche and Buffalo Narrows. And down in La Ronge and Flin Flon, they are seeing the warmest with 20. Now switching back to Alberta side here, they are seeing still some nice warmer temperatures. They have been continuing that warm streak for the past couple weeks now. Definitely seeing some warmer temperatures compared to the Saskatchewan side. Fort Chipewyan is slightly cooler, just at 17. 20 down in Fort McMurray, while it is 22 in Slave Lake and High Level. And Grand Prairie and Peace River are the warmest at 23, 24. Going over to our southern zone now. Slightly, they actually have cooled down quite a bit today. They were seeing closer to that 30-degree mark, especially on this Alberta side here. But now they are definitely cooled down. Medicine Hat and Lethbridge, probably the warmest there with 22, 23. The ones who go higher up, Banff and Calgary, definitely a lot more cooled down with 15. And Coronation is the coolest there with 12 degrees. Going now to our Saskatchewan side here, they are looking a lot warmer compared to the Alberta side. Continuing their warm streak here, Regina is close to that 30 mark, just a degree cooler. 27 in Moose Jaw, while it is 26 over in Yorkton. Swift Current and Estevan there at 24 and 25 degrees. And Kindersley is slightly cooler there at 19. Now going back across the region, seeing what we will expect throughout our evening, we will be kind of cooling down for our temperatures, but we will be seeing some better conditions than what we saw before. Most spots will be seeing that single-digit mark with between 7 and 9 degrees for their evening low. Isla Cross and Murnum will be seeing a low of 11, while Wainwright and Provost will be seeing a low of 10, but we will still be seeing some nicer conditions where we will just be seeing a couple clouds in sight. Murnum will be seeing a high chance of those showers continue on through their evening. Looking at our 3-day forecast now for here in the Border City, we will be seeing a nice day tomorrow, 21 with a mixture of some sun and cloud. Seeing a little bit more sun there, so don't worry. We are seeing some beautiful days coming up here now, even though we are seeing a gloomier day. And we are going to see 21 for Friday, although seeing a high chance of some precipitation, unfortunately, with a thunderstorm. Then Saturday, we will be seeing 20, so we won't be seeing too bad of some days for our long weekend here for Canada Day. And ending off with showing another one of your photo submissions. They get everyone that submitted some nice, beautiful shots. This is a very nice one to me. You know, it shows a little bit of those gloomier conditions, but love seeing that water there with a little bit of waves there. So thank you, Heather, for this nice shot of Turtle Lake. And that's all I got for now. RJ Smack, you'll have more news coming up after the break.
I'm joined by SGI Media Relations Manager Tyler McMurtry. Tyler, thanks for joining me today.
Well, thanks for having me.
So recently, the Provincial Traffic Safety Fund announced over $1 million in funding to over 80 communities in Saskatchewan, one of those communities being Lloydminster. Can you tell us a little bit about this funding and where it goes and why it's here?
Absolutely. So this is a program that's been running for a number of years, and it's aimed at improving safety in Saskatchewan communities. And the way that happens is through the proceeds of photo speed enforcement. Those funds are directed towards traffic safety projects throughout Saskatchewan. And this latest round, we saw 85 projects and a total of $1.34 million. So this is a very substantial amount of money that's being directed to communities throughout Saskatchewan in order to improve safety on our roads.
So the funding only goes towards those priority areas. Can you tell me what those priority areas are?
Generally, when we're talking about impaired driving, speeding, occupant protection, distracted driving, intersection safety, these are the areas that are kind of the most concern when we're talking about collisions that injure or kill people on our roads. So I think there is probably a fair amount of room for improvement and a fair number of, there's probably a big appetite for projects within that realm, and it does cover quite a wide area.
Does this happen in all communities or only some?
No, it happens in urban municipalities, rural municipalities, and indigenous territories as well. So the idea is simply to direct some of the proceeds of photo speed enforcement towards traffic safety, and that's always been a principle of the photo speed enforcement program as it's used in Saskatchewan. It's not ever been intended as a way of raising revenue, but unfortunately, when people do speed past those photo speed enforcement cameras, there is a fine that is generated, and so some of that money will go back towards making our roads safer, and not just in the communities where photo speed enforcement takes place, but also throughout the province as well. And so that's really the fundamental principle, is that if photo speed enforcement does in fact produce revenue, it is going to be put towards traffic safety. And that's one of the reasons why I think people understand that not only does it prevent people from speeding in that instance or deter speeding, but it also has an ongoing effect when it comes to traffic safety. And so we've seen so many projects throughout the years of this program approved, and throughout the province, we're looking at hundreds of projects now, and millions of dollars invested over the last few years. It's really been great to see.
Do you think the pattern of spending will continue?
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, the next round of applications opens up at the start of July, and it will run until the end of September. So any communities throughout the province that are seeing this and they think that maybe they have a traffic safety project that could use a little funding, I would definitely encourage them to apply. And there's information on the SGI website about how you do that and what the criteria is. There is criteria that they have to meet, and the applications as they come in are evaluated by a committee that is made up of a number of different representatives of a number of different bodies, I should say, including SGI and the Ministries of Justice, the Ministries of Highways, of course. There's also law enforcement representatives, municipal representatives, and the Prince Albert Grand Council is also on there as well. So the representatives on this committee review those applications and determine where the funding pool should go. So generally speaking, however, that if communities that are able to meet the criteria, there is an effort to ensure that they do get some or all of their projects funded. And it's something that we really enjoy seeing twice a year when we're able to provide these grants. Now, SGI is just an administrator of the program. The money is simply just going back to the people of Saskatchewan through these projects, but it is really something that is great to see.
That's all the time we've got. Thank you so much for joining me today, Tyler. I really appreciate it.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery and Furniture House, downtown Lloydminster.
I would like to welcome today the author of The Signs and Wonders of Tuna Rashad, Natasha Dean. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm quite excited to be here today. I hope everyone is doing well.
So I wanted to start first to talking about how you are an Own Voices author, and this book does have representation. I want you to talk a bit more about the representation in your novel and what it means to you.
Representation is always important, right? No matter how we identify, because it acknowledges to the world that we exist. It lets us know that we matter enough that people will see us in pages. And Tuna is on the heels of In the Key of Narragansett. And I remember getting emails from readers who were in their 40s, their 50s, emailing me back and saying, this is the first time I've ever seen my culture represented. This is the first time I've ever seen myself in the pages of a book. And that's so huge, and that it's so lovely but it's also kind of heartbreaking that for many of us, we did have to wait until we were in our 30s, 40s, 50s before we saw ourselves represented. And so in terms of Tuna's representation, Tuna is Caribbean like me, and Caribbean culture is, you know, more than just reggae and calypso. So it was really, really wonderful to sort of celebrate family, our very unique kind of sense of humor, and all of the little things that sort of say, yeah, here we are West Indian. But I think the thing that I really, really loved is that even though she is like own voices, she is a diverse character. Her experience of really wanting to ask out that guy that she's crushing on super hard, and struggling with the grief of her brother-in-law dying, and the grief of her brother who can't get over it and sort of is sucking everybody down into this like mog and mire. I feel like these are universal kinds of things. So no matter who you are as a reader, I think Tuna will speak to you, and I think her story has a lot to say to all of us.
I really liked the way that Tuna would think. She really wrote her life like a film script. She wanted to go to film school. So where did you come up with the idea to do that?
I was so frustrated. And you know, for all of the writers out there, you know what I'm talking about. You sit down, it's a blank page, you can't get it to work, you're trying desperately, and that frustration level just gets higher and higher. And for all of us as writers, we know, right? There are certain beats in a story, there's certain act one, act two, all of it. And I'm struggling trying to get this to work. And then I thought to myself, oh my gosh, it would be hilarious if she was a screenwriter and actually saw her life and referenced all of this. So she's referencing writing and writing fundamentals within the scope of the story. And it would also be super hilarious if some of the chapter headings absolutely like hit the beats of where the story, here's the break into act two, here's this, here's that. So from frustration came a really fun kind of thing that was also a little bit meta. So so that was just joyful, and then it worked. And then it worked, Sarah, and I was very happy.
The young adult genre, it's big, it's huge, contemporary romance. How do you think yours stands out from others in the genre?
With the romance genre, obviously it's like happy ending at the end, but I think each of our books stand out because of the nature of our characters. So Tuna is unapologetically herself. She is confident in who she is. She is fiercely loyal, fiercely loving. She's not going to take guff from anybody in terms of like who they think she should be or how they think she should behave. And I just, you know, I mean, I wrote her obviously, but I just kind of found her confidence really breathtaking, because I know when I was 17, I did not have that level of confidence and strength and power within who I was as a human being in the world. So I definitely, yeah, she's not like, oh, well, I wonder if he like, you know, like she's not that. She's like, I like this guy. I'm going to go for this guy. We are going to date. He's going to be the future Mr. Tuna Rashad. This is going to be great. Like this, you know, she just goes for it. Like she's just so fearless in love. And I just love that.
What do you want readers to know going into your book?
It's a fun book. It's a light book. If you like to laugh, if you like happy endings, this is a pretty good bet for you as a book.
Thank you again for letting me interview you today and giving me some of your time.
To the viewers, thank you for spending time with us. And Sarah, thanks for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
And then off with a quick look at your 7-day forecast. We'll see a couple nice days coming up here for Thursday, Friday, seeing 21 on both days, but seeing some precipitation on Friday, starting off the long weekend. For Canada Day, we'll see a nice, beautiful weekend with 20 and 22 Saturday and Sunday, then seeing some nice temperatures coming up next week, but we will be seeing some more wet conditions, so be prepared.
Thanks, Shelby, but can you tell Mother Nature to keep some of that rain away? I think I've had a little bit too much. That's all for our first hour. Stay with us. Our second hour continues next.